Welcome to Based on a Book, the podcast not yet censored by any government or religious agency. I'm your host, Crystal, and I'm covered in sin.
I'm Keri, and my least favorite form of transportation is by hot air balloon.
And I'm Lindsey, and I'm pretty sure this is skidooing.
That's right. You are in part 2 of our coverage of His Dark Materials and the first book in the series, The Golden Compass or Northern Lights. This is a 3-part series. If you have not listened to the first part of our coverage, please stop now and go back. It's available the same place you found this one. But I don't want you to get caught up in all these spoilers because we are going to go full spoilers. Part 1 covered chapters 1 through 11, the first 4 episodes of the His Dark Material season 1. We discussed Lyra and her beginnings in Jordan College at Oxford, running around with her bestie Roger. We met the Egyptians. Lyra was whisked away by Mrs. Coulter, who she found out was her mother. She also uncovered a plot of kidnapped children. What else did she do? She befriended the Egyptians, the king of the Egyptians. She learned how to read the alethiometer. She met up with an armored bear and an aeronaut, and now she's heading north to free her friends. Right?
Sounds about right. I'm still thinking about Lindsey skidooing.
She's
One
gonna
skidoo, we can do.
She's gonna skidoo right into another zip code. I don't know where my notes are on this, y'all. All I'm thinking is Lyra has done so much with her life already. And I'm 43 years old.
She's gone on an adventure. She really has.
She's been gone for like a week and she's traveling the world.
I know. Well, that's what's so crazy
12.
about these fantasy books. It's so wild to me. It's these little 12-year-olds just taking over the world, and they have the world in their hands to be able to do everything. She now knows how to read the alethiometer, and everyone is looking to her to read this. That kind of controls their next moves almost sometimes.
Yep.
And that's like a lot of pressure on her. They even sometimes leave her to go do tasks on her own that are risky.
Which is exactly where episode 5, which we're covering in this part, episodes 5 through 8, opens with Lyra reading the alethiometer. The alethiometer is pointing her towards what she thinks is a ghost in a nearby village, and she wants to go investigate. John Fa and the other leaders of their party are trying to convince her not to go, basically. But she says, the alethiometer only speaks truth. It wouldn't have told me this if it didn't want me to do something about it. And it's important for us to figure out what this is. So she convinces them to let her go. Yorick is going to take her. Yorick is the big, giant, armored bear. He's going to leave his armor behind because he can travel faster. And the plan is they'll go investigate and come right back to the party and meet up with the party heading north as they keep moving, right? So she gets on Yorick's back. They go to this nearby village. And they don't find a ghost. They find a little boy with no demon. In the book, this boy is Tony, the street kid. In the show, this is Billy Costa. And I don't know about y'all, but I teared up. Okay, I just sobbed. When they found this boy.
I sobbed in both the book and the show.
And here is Pan telling her, don't go, you don't want to know, don't go in there. And she's going, we have to. And even she's scared. She admits she's scared to go in there because she's never seen a human without a demon before, a human without a soul.
Well, all she knows, like, before going in is that
there's
it's
something
a ghost.
In there.
It's a ghost. It's like, that's
right.
what the alethiometer So what does that mean?
Right. She doesn't have any way to explain it. It wouldn't even occur to her to think that a human could be without soul, and so that's the only way she can interpret this, is that it's a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's scared to go in there, and when she goes in there, she's even more terrified of what she sees. In the book, she doesn't know the kid. In the show, she knows right away that's Billy Costa. She's played with him before. And he's almost catatonic. He's mumbling numbers. In the book, he's hugging a fish, just a dead, dried fish, because it's a fishing village. And she knows she has to take him back to the Egyptians. And so she gathers him up as best she can to get on Yorick, and they meet back up with the Egyptians. And at first, the Egyptians are terrified of what she's found, and they step back, and Yorick calls them out. He basically says, if this child can be brave enough to take care of this boy, then you should be half as brave as her. And the Egyptians step up. Of course, in this show, Ma Costa realizes right away that's her son Billy.
I want to cry just thinking about it. I hate it.
I'm choking up.
I literally have tears in my eyes. Like,
I brought my tissues this time.
Because whenever she leaves originally to go see, she's like, she has to go convince Ma Costa. She's like, I know you really want to go find Billy right now, but the alethiometer is telling me to go here, telling me there's a ghost in this location. Please let me go in this different direction. Trust me. You must trust me on this. And she's like having a really hard time because it kind of delays the process of finding her kid. She's like, and you please trust me on this. And then
it turns out to be Billy.
Finds Billy in this condition, and it's literally the saddest thing.
And then when Ma Costa's holding him and
I
singing,
know.
oh God, that got me so bad. She's singing.
I know. I know.
Okay,
messed
good.
me. Yeah, messed me. Well, the little boy in the book is holding a fish, and she describes like he's holding onto this fish almost like he's like holding what could be like his demon.
And
there.
he keeps asking for his demon. He keeps asking for Ratter.
It was like Ratter.
Have you seen Ratter? Do you know where Ratter is? Where's my Ratter?
I hate it. I hate that so much. I hate that. Like breaking
and this is a kid's
like
book.
That. Yeah. Yeah, reminder, this is a child's book. Lindsey, like, what were you thinking during this part? I was like worried for you because your like love for animals.
It was the moment when Ma Costa was like, Billy, you can go find Ratter. It's okay. You can go. I was like, nope.
I know.
Yep. Yep.
I know. I was like thinking of you because you love animals so much. And I was like, oh no. Lindsey.
Every time an animal disappeared, I shed a tear.
Yeah.
Y'all, I have to keep hosting this episode. Quit.
I know. I'm sorry. Well, okay. So at this point in like the book and the show, it's like kind of like coming together. Okay, this is what the gobblers are doing. They are currently trying to separate the demons from the child.
Right. So, and they don't know why. They don't understand why, but they know that this is horrific.
This is when from part 1, I said that I had a wild theory. This is where I could say my theory now.
Okay.
So whenever I had this theory that the reason why, which proved to be false later, the reason why they were cutting the demon from kids, I thought that the adults wanted to, because Mrs. Coulter, her demon is not very connected to her. Like, they don't really have a bond like other ones. So I thought that they were taking demons from kids and connecting it to other adults, like switching out their demons for better ones.
Like tradesies?
Yeah, like would cut demons and connect them to themselves. Like if you wanted like a monkey instead of the one that you were stuck with, they were trading it out for like a better one, or they wanted one that could switch out all the time because that's how like for a kid is.
Yeah
So I thought that's what they were doing. And also I had a theory that they were trying to have one person like have adults, they wanted multiple demons, so they were cutting a demon from a kid and in order for someone to have multiple demons for them,
collecting souls.
Yeah, collecting souls for one person. Like I was thinking maybe it means like if you had multiple demons, you'd have like more power or something like that. I wasn't sure. I was
Maybe.
like trying to like connect that, and I was like, oh, I got it.
So to be clear, if you haven't read the books yet, that is not what was happening.
I was trying to big brain it. I really was. I was like, oh, maybe that's it. Maybe that could be it. Maybe that's what's going on. No.
I love it. I love it. I do. We flash to back to our world where we see Lord Boreal, who has found Elaine and Will Perry, who are the wife and son of this dude that he was looking for, who he believes to be from his world, but having a family in our world. That sounds like some. I
Yeah.
know men who'd probably be doing that.
I'm very confused on why we want to find this person.
I think he wants to know. I think Lord Boreal was trying to figure out how this person got across the worlds and what they know about crossing
Okay.
worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was more of a like, I need to find this dude so I can figure out what he knows and use it to my advantage
Okay.
instead of having to figure it all out on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Lord Boreal's just a jerk.
Yeah.
Um uh Elaine gives Will the letters that his father wrote to him. And so now Will has these letters as correspondence from his dad. And Elaine is starting to feel like she's being stalked. She's starting to feel like people have been in the home. She's starting to feel like, she's not mentally well, right? And Will's kind of been struggling to help take care of her this whole time. But now she's really starting to ramp up the paranoia. And Will thinks that it is just her paranoia. But Lord Boreal and his team of creeps literally are stalking her. So
Mm-hmm.
she might not be all there, but she ain't all gone either.
Every time they cut to that man in that car, he was literally sitting and looking the exact same. I was like, is he even real?
Yeah.
I feel like they used the same like 4-second cut
I was gonna say
repeatedly
that.
because he doesn't even move. Like
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
it was a mannequin in the car. Back with Lyra, we see Father Coram meet with Serafina Pecola, the witch. Now, this meeting is not in the book. He meets with Serafina's demon because witch demons can go apart from each other hundreds and thousands of miles. They can be apart from each other. Witches can also fly, which is super cool. But in the show, Serafina does meet up with Father Coram, and it's this beautiful. We learned that they were in love, that they had a son, that the son died during an epidemic, got sick and died, and Father Coram says that in his grief, he just wanted to be alone to grieve. And in Serafina's grief, she wanted to fight death, burn down the world. She was not going to take this lightly. And that's kind of what split them apart. Of course, witches live for hundreds and hundreds of years. Father Quorum is fully human and going to live a normal life. And so he aged and she did not.
Mm-hmm.
But you
I
can
need their
tell that
book.
in the book and in the show, but in the show we kind of see it in stark relief because they do meet. In the book, they choose specifically not to, because they know it will hurt and they know that they can't be together. But in the show, they do, and it is this beautiful moment of him saying, you know, that it hurts to see her, but he's glad that he has, and she's still beautiful. She's so beautiful, and she says, "So are you. I'm not so old that I still can't see the man inside." And that just like
Mm-hmm. The show knew what they were doing.
they this show, you guys,
Yeah, the show knew what they were doing by bringing them together for a second
and they have a
having
kiss,
their moments.
and it is not this like it's just a very delicate, beautiful, intimate moment. It's not like this makeout session,
Yeah.
and so it's done so well and so beautifully, because I feel like this is one of those moments where, like, if they didn't do it right, it would have just been weird.
Yeah.
But they really got it.
Him just crying as she
Yep.
flies away.
Yep.
Oh my god. I
Yep.
need more of it. I need more of it.
At this point, Billy does pass away, and then a raiding party of some kind comes in and captures Lyra in the night, killing some of the Egyptian guards, and runs off with Lyra and drops her off at Bullwinger because they're paying for kids. So Lyra's right in the thick of things, and that's where that episode ends. In the book, Lyra kind of knows right away where she is. In the movie, she doesn't realize exactly where she is until they go to offer her some cold weather clothes. They take her furs and stuff and offer her the cold weather clothes, and it's the same suit as what Billy Costa was wearing when she found him. So
Mm.
she kind of realizes, oh crap,
Yeah, she's like, this is not good.
this is not good. Episode 6, which is, I think, chapter like 16 or 17 in the book, she realizes right away that she cannot tell them her name. So when they ask her name, she says she's Lizzie Brooks. She gets kind of processed through. They do a quick physical. They give her clothes. They send her into the mess hall where everybody's going to eat, and then, show her to the dormitories. She right away sees her buddy Roger. In the book, she sees Billy as well, because Billy's not dead in the book. And their demons talk to each other so they don't draw attention, passing the word that, like, we don't know each other, act dumb, do not draw attention to us. And they start kind of making a plan, like, what do you know, what have you found out? Lyra tells them that help is coming. We just have to hold on. They tell her about what they've noticed about, like, the ceiling tiles and getting around in the ceiling in the book. In the show, they don't really get as much interaction. Mrs. Coulter is on her way to Bullwinger, and Lyra finds out, and she's kind of terrified. And in the show, she convinces the other girls to, like, you have to hide me. She can't know I'm here. And she tells them she's my mom. She can't know I'm here. In the book, that doesn't quite happen, but she kind of gets the whole, like, she can't know I'm here. I don't want to see her. We have to kind of make sure to not be around when she's around, right? She also starts asking about, like, when do they, the kids don't know what's going on still. Of course, Lyra does. And so she doesn't really want to tell them exactly what's happening, but she's hearing them talk about what they've already gathered, which is that this has something to do with dust, that they measure our demons, that they're constantly weighing us and checking our age. And whenever your demons stop shifting is when they take you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's already this fear amongst the kids. They are already very scared about where they are, but also afraid to kind of push back at the adults, at the authority. The place is also guarded by armed guards, and the kids know that. So even if they could overpower the nurses and the staff, they have armed guards keeping them inside.
Mm-hmm.
Outside, there's nothing but fields of ice and snow. So even if they manage to get past the armed guards, where are they gonna go?
And she also notices that, like, the staff is, like, very
Dead inside.
yeah, very, like, dead inside. Like, they don't really have any type of, like, emotions.
Yeah, they're very, very just kind of stoic.
Yeah.
They don't show anything. Lyra begins to make a plan with Roger on how to escape. She's going to pull the fire alarm when it's time, and she wants all the kids to know.
Well, at this point, don't they somehow sneak into a room or something and see all the demons?
There's the test alarm,
There's the
the fire drill.
Yep, the fire drill. And they find a room with demons, but no kids.
That part ripped my soul out. Like, literally, I'm watching the show, like, in the book, crying, listening to the audiobook. I was listening to the audiobook, just standing there, not moving, crying. Watched it in the show, sobbing. And, like,
Mm-hmm.
she talks about how, like, they're just, like, looking for human contact. And I just, like, could not take it.
But
I could
again, there's
not.
all these taboos about how to handle demons
Yeah.
too. If that's not your demon, you don't touch it.
Yeah.
Right? And so even though she feels like that's what she wants to do, she knows she shouldn't.
Yeah.
In the book, they kind of make it seem like once the demon and the children are separated, if they survive, that these kids, they're done with them. They just kind of set them loose to like fend for themselves or figure it out. And there's lots of like the guy in the village that had the Billy, or in the book it was Tony, tells them there's lots of other kids. We see other kids like this in the woods now and then, but they don't last long.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of get this impression that these kids are just, shoved off, and that the demons are what's kept. In the show, they do find the room with all of these kids and no demons. And these kids are much like Billy Costa was found, catatonic, mumbling, counting softly to themselves. And they're rhythmically counting along with the sign, with the light, with the alarm light.
Mm-hmm.
And so Lyra and Roger make this plan to get out. They're going to, when the time is right, they're going to pull the fire alarm. All the kids need to run. The Egyptians are coming. We just have to wait. Now, at this point in the book too, Serafina Pecola's demon comes to Lyra to tell her how far away the Egyptians are, that Yorick Bjornsson is closer and coming faster, but they're coming, right? And just to hold on a little bit longer. In the book, Serafina Pecola's demon also helps to release the demons that are caged.
And they were doing
And
that. They were taking way too long to show us what they did with those demons in the show. I was like, hello?
yeah,
What about the
no,
demons?
I thought the same thing, because the kids came out, and then I was like, where are the demons?
Yeah. Hello? Where are the animals? I
But
was scared.
right. But they get, in the book, they get the demons out. The demon convinces these child demons to transform into birds so that they can fly away, but they are weak. They're struggling. And even if they make it back to their kids, and in the book they describe, they have to go find these kids now. They're not there. And we're kind of told that like even if they're reunited, it'll never be the same, which is heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you see it in the show, after having read that in the book, knowing that that bond never comes back, like you see all those kids and you see all those demons.
It's so horrible.
It's so
And I'm like,
horrible.
this is a kid's book. This is a kid's book.
I
This
don't
is
think
so
this show is a
traumatizing.
kid's show. I'm just saying. I don't know that I would
Yeah.
want. I mean, there's nothing in it that's like particularly like super violent or like super sexual or gory or any, you know what I mean? Like it's not like specifically
Mm-hmm.
not for kids, but in my mind it's such a heavy show. I don't know that I would want a 5th or 6th grader, middle schooler watching this,
Yeah.
personally. So while we are waiting for them to get rescued, Mrs. Coulter spots Lyra. They are literally hauling Lyra and Pan into the cutter, the incision machine, Lyra's screaming, Pan is screaming, everybody's yelling. In the
I'm
show,
bawling.
yeah, exactly. In the show, Lyra screams, "Mrs. Coulter is my mother. Mrs. Coulter is my mother." And
I
the
had
guy
chills
who's
that whole part.
right, the guy's about to slam the door, and he's like, "Wait, what?" And the girl up in the booth is like, "She's lying. Just close the door,"
Mhm.
you know. But this is when Mrs. Coulter happens to come into the room at just the right moment and stops the machine just seconds before it yeah, I knew it was gonna happen. I knew she was gonna save her, and
Yeah.
I still was like panicking in this
So
part.
at this point in like the book and the show, I'm like really like starting like a character analysis of Mrs. Coulter.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I can't get a good read on her. I can't get a read on her as a character on whether she's like the big evil or not. I don't sense that she's the big evil.
I think she wanted to be the big evil. And
Yeah.
I think she would have been the big evil, except
Yeah.
Lyra won her over in the weirdest way possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somehow her motherly instincts that she had zero of
Mhm.
slowly begin to thaw, slowly begin to warm to Lyra and the role of mother.
Yeah.
And but this is the part in the show that I kind of loved is Lyra has been saved from the incision and Pan have been saved. They're back in Mrs. Coulter's room. Mrs. Coulter is trying to convince her that like we're not really doing anything that bad, and
We'll
Lyra
do it to
is
everyone else but you.
right, and Lyra's not buying any of it, but at some point she realizes she's just going to have to fake it long enough to get this woman to trust her so that she can get out of there, right?
Mhm.
And she does. Mrs. Coulter asks for the alethiometer, and Lyra hands her a sealed up tin with one of the spy flies in it, and she manages to pry it open, and it runs at her. And in the show, when Lyra escapes and slams that door and locks it, and then they're both screaming at each other on either side of the door, I was just like,
That was so
that
good.
was such a moving moment for me.
Yeah, that
Like
was cinema.
that,
That's what it
it
was.
really was. That was like peak. I loved that moment.
Like mother and daughter doing the same thing, screaming at each other.
Just and not no words. They're literally just screaming.
Like I wish I could have been like on the sidelines, like the people like filming, just
Mm-hmm.
witnessing them performing that.
Yes.
Like it was just so like I
Yep.
had chills
Yep.
watching that. And
Goosebumps.
Pan was like, "All right, Lyra, enough. Enough.
Pretty
Like we
much.
got to
And
go."
the monkey the whole time hiding in the corner, like,
Yeah.
this is too much for me. I'm
The
out.
monkey hiding in the corner.
I mean,
Yeah.
But also the scene with Mrs. Coulter where she's trying to pry the tin open with the knife had me stressed. I was like,
yep.
"What are you doing with that knife?"
I
I had
know.
flashbacks to the ruins and him trying to cut. Mm-mm.
Yep.
And
Because
she was like panicked. Like she was like you have this sealed
it
really
was
hard and like she
and it
literally was
was
like
almost like this
panicking.
crazy look in her eye of like,
Oh
yes, I finally
gosh.
got it. Like
Like
crazy, creepy. She's
so
the best
good.
actress for this part. Loved it.
Like I cannot stop talking about. Like it's like the character that you love to hate
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing where it's like she's such a bad person and you love to hate it because it's just done so well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So at this point, Lyra smashes that fire alarm. All the kids start to escape. She in the show, she goes to destroy the incision machine that so she just pushes a bajillion and a half buttons and it overloads itself and it explodes.
That was crazy.
That was
That was a
crazy.
lot.
That was a lot. But she's trying to find her way to release the demons that are still trapped in the show and the kids. and she's being kind of cornered by these guards when Yorick shows up and the Egyptians show up, and everybody kind of starts helping to like gather up the kids, get rid of the guards. And Seraphina shows up in the book. Like witches, multiple show up. In the show, it's just Seraphina, and she seems to handle it fine on her own.
That
That's
scene
all
was
they
so
needed.
That's
yeah,
all they needed.
that scene was so badass where she fucking goes through and just
She's boo, 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 and then out.
done.
And then she was gone. She didn't even say bye. She was
Yeah.
just like, job's done. I'm out. They, in the book, the kids are trying to leave, and they're freezing and they don't know where to go, and there's fighting happening and the place is exploding and burning down. It's very up in the air as to how they get out of there. Because from that point in the book, Lyra ends up back with Yorick and Lee Scoresby and Roger back on the airship getting out of there. In the show, they kind of round up the kids and the demons, and the Egyptians just stopping to hug the kids without the demons got me. That got me.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of moments in the show that hit me real hard compared to the book. And the
Mm-hmm.
book hit me in a few places, but the show just is done so well. And so that moment where, Seraphina's come in and just killed everybody. And Mrs. Coulter is even kind of like around the corner, like, oh shit, can I come out or am I going to get killed too? And then Roger walks out of this doorway leading these kids without demons wrapped in these red blankets. And the Egyptians just all stop. They just stop what they're doing. And they begin to just hug these kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a beautiful moment. It's such a sad, just, it was horrific and beautiful at the same time,
Yeah.
So meanwhile, Lee and Lyra and Roger and this giant armored bear are going up in a hot air balloon.
I literally, you would not catch me in a hot air balloon with a bear.
I mean, no.
Like, first of all, I was like, okay, first of all, how big is this hot air balloon basket? Because that's crazy. A
That's
whole bear?
a polar bear too. They're not small.
Yeah.
Like, and
With
this is
armor
with
on.
armor.
And I was like, what is the weight capacity, first of all? Because that's crazy.
Well, and they talk about it in the book that like it ain't easy to get in the air with his fat ass on board,
Yeah, like that's insane to me.
And Lee and Yorick have that kind of like banter of like battle buddies kind of thing. Like they
Yeah.
fought together in the past, and so they rib each other constantly, and he's like, Yorick, you gained a few pounds, and Yorick tells Lee that like your aim seems to be getting a bit better, like
Yeah.
they tease each other, and so it's kind of funny. But yeah, they're all up in this hot air balloon, and they're going to go save Lyra's dad, who is being held captive by the other Passerbjorn, by the other armored bears. However, as they're flying, it's middle of the night in the Arctic Circle, so it's dark. And apparently there's cliff gas, which seemed to be some sort of like skeletal bat ghost creature. I don't know. Either way, they attack the balloon. Lee's trying to shoot him off. And in the kerfuffle, Lyra falls out of the hot air balloon.
That part had me so stressed. I did not like that part.
That part had me stressed. Now,
yeah.
Again, in the book, it's a little different. They're being towed by the witches, which, how cool is that? I would fly in a hot air balloon being towed by witches. That, maybe not with the bear, but...
No, I don't want the bear in the basket. Take the bear out of the basket.
That was a fancy basket, too. There were all kinds of, like...
Yeah. Well, in the show, when he's shooting at those things,
mm-hmm.
in a hot air balloon?
I know it doesn't seem smart, but
Let's not shoot bullets at the hot air balloon. Like, we're already really high in the air. Somehow,
we're
because
just gonna shoot
because hot
holes in
air
the thing
balloons are
holding us
crazy.
up.
Hot air balloons are crazy as it is. We're
For
really
real.
high up in the air, and you're gonna shoot bullets up in the
And the
sky.
whole basket's just a rockin'.
Yeah, basket bottom falls out.
Lyra's a
Lyra's
goner.
gone.
Yep. Just lost a kid. It happens. Whatever. It's like, what's the possum in the Wild Robot? Pigtail. She's like, eh. Like,
Like, oh, you're still alive. Oh, okay.
right. So she falls out of the Lyra falls out of the basket, and we that kind of ends that episode. Episode 7, we find out that Lyra survives. Yay! But she's at the
How? Literally how?
snow is not always soft when you hit
No.
it, but maybe she just got lucky with the fluffy stuff. So she survives the fall, but she is captured by other armored bears and taken to Yofer Rakinson's palace, the king of the Pasterbjorn. She convinces Yofer that she is Yorick's demon, that Mrs. Coulter had been lying to him this whole time, and that she could get Bear's demons, and Yorick got the first one, but she doesn't want to be Yorick's demon. She wants to be Yofer's demon, the king of the bear. And like, she just butters him up.
She's so smart. Like,
Mhm.
if I was in this situation, I'd be like, I don't know. I mean,
Pretty
I would not
much.
be able to like think on my feet like this. Like, this is
No,
crazy.
she's over here like making up the best stories, and Yofer's over here eating it up.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, all right, let's do this. And she convinces him that the only way for her to become his demon is if he kills Yorick in single combat. Because she knows that if Yorick even comes into their lands or whatever, that he's going to be killed instantly. He's not considered an armored bear anymore, a Pasterbjorn anymore, because at one point he broke the law by killing another bear. We find out that he was tricked into it, but that's a whole different story. So Yorick gets in, gets led back to the castle. Yofer's like, game on, bro. And Yorick's like, are you sure? And basically just wipes the floor with him. Just
He really does.
done for.
He's like,
But I
you're
mean, do
done.
we have any doubt?
No, absolutely not.
And Yorick is just so dedicated to Lyra and
Mhm.
so just in love with who she is.
Mhm. And he would like run, like he was like running for her when he knew that she like in the show, whenever she was like falling out of the basket, Lee was like freaking out. Like he was
Mhm.
Yup.
freaking out because he was like in charge of protecting her, was like trying to grab her, and even York was like literally like, you need to grab her like right now, right now, right now. And then she fell. And then he like must have hurried up and was like, screw Lee, goodbye. Like, I need to go find Lyra. And like Lily was running nonstop
Yeah.
Mhm.
to get to her.
Yorick is so dedicated to Lyra and not
I
just her
love that
protection.
so much. I
I
love
know.
it.
I know.
He's my favorite.
But it's
Yeah.
he's the best. He really is. And it's not just about protecting her. It's about like being able to serve her and her purpose and what it is that because he recognizes that she has something big to do,
Mhm.
and he wants to make sure that she's able to do it. And so when she says, will you take me here? He's like, okay. And when she's like, I want to stop, can we stop? He's like, okay. At one point she curls up next to him and he's kind of like, what the hell? And she's like, I'm cold, you're warm. And he was like, oh, okay. Like,
Yeah. Lindsay,
he's
I knew you would love him because you love the grumpy sunshine friendship. That is so
Yep.
your thing.
Yep.
That is
And
so your
boy,
thing.
isn't he? Yeah, that's Yorick.
Mhm.
I really love, so at this point this is when he wins the battle with Yofer. he takes back his rightful place as king of the bears, king of the Passerbjorn, and he gives Lyra a new name. He names her Lyra Silvertongue for her ability to manipulate the situation as well as she did. And Lyra is so honored by this name that she insists on using it basically throughout the rest of the series. And I thought that was a really beautiful, like, Yorick is the one who gives her name after, she finds out that she's had this same last name as Asriel, who she thought was her uncle but is actually her dad, but she's been lied to about who her parents are her whole life.
And always left by him too, because
Always
he's
left by him.
yeah.
Not just lied to and left, but absolutely freaking used and betrayed by both of her parents.
Mhm.
And so why would she ever want to be Lyra Belacqua ever again when she has a name like Lyra Silvertongue that she earned and was gifted to her by the king of the Passerbjorn?
Mhm.
I wish I could tell that story about my name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I would like someone to gift to me it. No, I don't actually. Never mind. Lord knows what y'all want to call me. So at this point, Lee Scoresby and Hester have crash landed. And Seraphina, finds them to kind of help them back on track. And Lee is all upset that he has lost Lyra. And Seraphina says, no, you got her exactly where she needed to be. And now someone else is taking her the rest of the way. Like, you did exactly what you were supposed to do. Yorick offers to take Lyra the rest of the way to her dad with Roger, because Roger's with Yorick, because Lyra wants so badly to get back to her dad and give him the alethiometer that she thinks he needs, right? Because the alethiometer keeps telling her that she's supposed to bring her dad something. And so that's the only thing that she can kind of figure. And so she packs up Roger and they jump on the bear's back and they go off to where the bears have been guarding him, which is actually his whole freaking laboratory up on a giant mountain.
Mhm.
And when they get there, right away, she kind of goes to the door. Asriel sees her and is like, "No, I didn't ask for you. No, like, what are you doing
Yeah, he's
here?"
like livid.
He's panicked, freaked out, mad. And then he sees Roger and he's like, "Whatever, you guys come inside, get him some food, let's get him cleaned up."
Well, he's like kind of
And it's like
relieved.
Mm-hmm.
he kind of like switches. It goes from like, "No, you can't be here," to like, "Oh, well, you're already here. Come on in."
Mhm.
And both kids notice it right away. Of course, Lyra is heartbroken because she is literally battled with, like, armed guards, almost lost her demon, had to fight her mother, escaped being captured countless times just to get to him, and then he treats her like that.
Mhm.
No wonder she don't want his name. They flash at this point to the Egyptians, which we don't get this in the book, of them gathering up the kids and like all the kids plus all the kids and demons that were separated, but they're together too, and they are heading back south. We don't quite get that in the book, but we do hear more about it in the next books. So they won't leave us hanging on that. We get some more conversation with Lyra and her father at this point about what he's doing up there and why he's so interested in dust and what this dust is all about. And this is when he reveals to Lyra that the church thinks that dust is sin. It's evidence of original sin. And when you're innocent, when your demons are innocent, they can still shift, because in their version of the Bible there were demons as well. So they kind of talk about that's when the demons can still shift. And that it wasn't until Eve ate the fruit that their demons settled. And so the only thing that they can see of that when your demon settles is when the adults start collecting dust. And so that must be evidence of sin, of the original sin. We don't really get what Asriel really thinks it is. All he knows is that it is coming from these other worlds, and he can see these other worlds, and he wants to go to these other worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He is. This is where we start to see him be a little crazed.
Yeah.
This single track mind. And at one point, even Lyra says, and you call yourself a father, and he says, and I loved this in the show, and he says, no, that's the point. I've never called myself a father. And that was like a gut punch. Like,
Mm-hmm.
can you imagine hearing that at 12 years old?
Yeah. And you're
So,
like built up this thing in like your head as you're going to
yep,
expect something. And like
yep,
at this point, I mean, you always know, I think, especially reading it as an adult, that this guy is not a good guy,
right,
you know? But now it's kind of shifting where like he is like there's a difference between like just not a good guy and possibly on like the bad side
right.
of like the story. And this is where I'm like, "Oh, he is not good."
No, it
Like
literally
he's
turns out all the adults, except for the Egyptians, are bad.
mhm. Mhm.
All of them. All of them.
Yeah.
Literally all of the people, the adults in this world that are telling everyone that they are the right way, they are the good ones, they are the best ones, they're the ones you need to listen to, they know what's best for you, and they're better than everyone else, are all bad. The people that are content to be considered the least of society turn out to be the best people.
Mhm.
And that it's just, I don't know, it's devastating that these children had to find that out.
Yeah.
We
And one of my favorite quotes of like this entire book is like at the very end where it's like if all the adults want to get rid of dust, then that must mean that it must be good.
Right. Yep.
And I love that
Yep.
because that is like such I feel like that's very relevant to you can say that about a lot of things, but I
We
just
do
think that's interesting.
we do flash back to our world where Will Perry and his mom have had a break-in and somebody has just ransacked the house. This is when Will realizes that his mom is not paranoid, that something is really wrong, and he takes his mom to someplace safe. His coaches, I think it's his coach of some kinds, or maybe a teacher's house, and and convinces them, like, can you just kind of keep track of my mom for a little bit so that I can go clean up, kind of thing. But what he does is he gathers up those letters and he runs. So now Will is on the run and he's going to read through those letters and he doesn't really know what to do, but he's trying to figure it out. And at one point when he goes back to the house to get the letters and some other things, he comes into contact with the Lord Boreal's goons and accidentally kills one of them by pushing them over the rail, and he falls. So now Will's even more scared of getting any kind of help because he thinks he's going to get in trouble. Back in Lyra's world, we're in episode 8 now. Lord Asriel is basically captured Roger and taking him up to the closest point to the northern lights he can get, and he is going to sever the bond between Roger and Roger's demon. In the book, Asriel's butler dude wakes up Lyra and says he's mad, he's crazy, he's taken Roger, you need to go get him. In the show, his butler dude's like knows what's gonna happen and seems kind of cool with it,
Mhm.
which I thought was really sad. Either way, Lyra does go chasing after them to try and save Roger. The Magisterium at this point is also coming to get Asriel. This episode is not there's not a ton of substance to it because a lot of it is just like the bears are fighting the magisterium. The magisterium is going after Azrael. Everything's in
Yeah.
slow motion. It's just building, building, building. But the gist of it is that Azrael does end up killing Roger, and he does open a gateway into a new world. And Lyra realizes that she can't trust any of the adults in her life, and that one of the best things that she can do is to honor Roger's death by finding dust before her father does, by finding the source of dust before her father does. And she says goodbye to Roger, and leaves him gently in the snow, which I cried again.
That just the whole
The
building
whole thing,
up.
I bawled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whole thing building up of severing their bond and
Mm-hmm.
like them like yelling to each other.
Yep. Yep.
I cannot deal with that.
It was too much.
And then the whole moment between Azrael and Mrs. Coulter,
Yeah.
that was kind of wild.
That was weird because she's talking about how, like, I can't let you do this. And he's talking about you can't really stop me. And then he's like, you could come with me. We could do this together. And
And
she's
she's like, no, I want to stay
I
and
want to
be like
stay
a
with,
mom
right.
to Lyra, which was like,
and he's like, are you sure? Like, even
Yeah.
Azrael was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But she was like,
it
no,
was
this is what I want. And of course, Lyra was like, nope. And her and Pan step into this gateway, which was really beautifully done. It was really pretty.
Well, like at this point, I was thinking with Mrs. Coulter, like I couldn't tell if this was like her own personal choice of, you know, within herself wanting to, you know, stay for Lyra and all that. Or like I just can't tell if like the Magisterium, if they almost like have something over on her to work with them, or if she just is like kind of like is that bad. That's what I'm trying to figure
Guess
out.
we'll have to find out.
Yeah.
We also see at the end of this episode, Will Perry stepping through the gate from his world into
For some
wherever
reason, I
he's
thought they were
going.
going to run into each other.
I did too.
Yeah. Like, grab hands.
Yeah, I thought they were.
Like,
I thought they were going to be like, oh, sorry.
because they really did, like, the way the show was going, they both kind of stepped through at the same time. It was really neat.
I forgot it's probably completely two different portal areas, so.
Well, because one's at the North Pole and one's at Oxford.
Yeah. Well, I realized that.
What's neat, though, is this is kind of where we stop. This is it.
Yeah.
We don't really see anything else until the next season and the next book, which we will be covering in our next season 3 of Based on a Book. So keep an eye out all this month. All of the titles we cover our first books in a series, and we will be covering the second and third books as well. So keep an eye out.
We have to wait that long.
You have to wait. I don't know if I can, but you don't have to wait too much longer for a little bit more. His Dark Materials talk. Come back to us for part 3, where we will discuss a little bit more about the show, kind of recap what we discussed, but we want to dig in a little bit to that horrible movie from 2007. It reminds me a lot of our Percy Jackson talks and the original Percy Jackson movies, so that ought to be fun. So stick around for that. But that brings us to our our question of the episode, which is, if you had access to the alethiometer, would you use it to ask a question for yourself, a question about your future, or find out other people's secrets? What you got, Lindsay?
Man, I want to say that I'd probably say future just because I like to plan ahead anyway. But I'm probably like going to end up looking at my past and like, man, did I overthink that scenario? What actually happened?
Probably yes. Come on, let's face it, we all do.
It's true.
I don't know. I have a lot of paranoia about seeing my future. I really do. I don't like the idea of seeing my future because I feel like that would affect so many things so terribly. So because of that, I think I would just want to see somebody else's
I get it.
what's going on in their life. I'd be like, no, I'm just gonna pretend like I don't know what's going on.
I have like an epic fascination with tarot and all things divination. And I would say that I would just not use the damn thing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of the same. I don't really want to know. The things that I'm supposed to know come to me when I'm supposed to know them.
Yeah.
People will tell me what they want me to know when they're ready for me to know it. And I'm just going to leave it like that. Although I do like the idea that it can give you insight into, like, if I ask the alethiometer, like, what's the weather going to be tomorrow for sure? Should I reserve the park pavilion or should I reserve, like, I don't know, a room somewhere, or like an actual venue? Like, who knows? Or I could ask, like, are there actually peanuts in that restaurant, or is it truly peanut free? Like, you could get some little bit more detailed truths, but for the most part, I don't think I would use it at all.
Yeah. I feel like when you start messing with like the path that you're like
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be on, you get put onto like into bizarre situations you're
Well,
not
and you
supposed to
make
be in.
decisions that you wouldn't have normally made,
Yeah.
and yeah, I like going with the flow.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Well, that wraps up part 2 of our coverage of his dark materials. We hope you'll join us for part 3, but don't forget to follow us on socials for more thoughts, insights, clips, different things that we find and post to our stories because they're fun, or just to see our beautiful faces because we are gorgeous. We have Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, YouTube. You can find our podcast anywhere you find podcasts. And we cannot wait to see you again on the next chapter of Based on a Book. Bye.
Bye.